After nearly 20 years of revenue service with both New York City Transit and MTA Bus, because there are two different companies, the Orion 7 OG Hybrid 2 is close to retirement. So that's why this day I came all the way from Staten Island just to take this one bus. And why have I went through all this expense just to take this one bus in particular, even though I only paid the price of the express bus? Well, let me tell you. I was born in Brooklyn, and the area that I was in, it was predominantly the RTS that was at that location, because my childhood route was the B52. So for a while it was just the RTS, and when I first saw the previous variation of the Orion 7 OG Hybrid, the first variant that is, I was amazed at seeing it because it was a different type of design. But what really threw me off guard was the next generation design, because it was my first time ever seeing a bus with the orange LED destination signs that they're practically known for today. And prior to this trip, I believe I may have taken it like 3 times with the MTA and probably a few times at Newark Airport. Either way, I said all that to say that the OG Hybrid is exactly how I remember it. So once it was time for this bus to start moving, I stopped bus fanning at the Edcotch Queensboro Bridge like you saw in the last video, and here I am. And while I was looking around the bus in particular, because it was myself and 2 other passengers, I was surprised at seeing some things that are the same. Like you see the push tape signs depicted here, where instead of the rope like you have on the Excelsiors, Novas, and I believe the EPA 10s and the next gen hybrids, you have the push tape because it's only a matter of time before they're to retire. And I remember seeing those all the time on the RTS and the Orion 5s. And, with the Orion 5s, they were around for a time until they eventually retired from the MTA. I mean, I know Beeline Bus still has them. But I said all that to say is that it's amazing how much this bus is exactly how I remember it. And I just wanted to take this particular trip one last time before they retire. That's why I came all the way from Queens. And this is, by the way, my first time taking a bus on the MTA bus route, because, of course, this was one of the many private lines that was away from the MTA before it was acquired in the mid to late 2000s. So it was pretty nice. And admittedly, while I was on this trip, it felt so different when you're on a bus where when someone presses the stop request sign, you don't hear the usual "please exit through the rear door," because that's basically on every single one of the newer buses that is coming out in the MTA, minus the blue Prevos. Stop requested. So in a way, all I could say for the Orion 7 Next Gen Hybrid is, or the OG Hybrid that is, I've taken the Next Gen Hybrid so many times back when they were on Staten Island, is that I'm gonna miss them. They were pretty decent, had good revenue service throughout the years and everything. Of course, had its ups and downs like anything that man creates, but it was still a really decent bus and everything. One that I've admired for so many years. And admittedly, when we moved to Staten Island and I saw that they weren't available, in a way, I was gonna practically miss the chance of taking them. In fact, I remember when I first came to Staten Island, I was on a class field trip and we went to historic Richmond Town. Anyway, the first bus I saw in Staten Island was a RTS, but I never got to take an RTS. The only buses I took for a time was the Orion 5, and also the other buses that was being tested, which was the XD40, the previous generation LFS with the rear window like what Queens have right now, and also the EPA 10s, which Castleton eventually acquired, and now they're the only depots with them. So I was happy to take this one more time, and because this is a time lapse of the trip that I took, which took about a half hour to go from Manhattan to near Woodside Avenue, the Woodside Avenue train station. In the next video, the next trip that I'll take, because the next few videos are shorts, I'm basically going to mention about my idea of potentially changing the Queens Boulevard into having a potential busway. Either way, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments.